In this match, I was down 3-0, and I still won 5-4. But how? Smart substitutions. Today, I'm going to show you the power of using your bench the right way, how to set it up, when to make changes, and how to use your subs to completely turn a game around. If you take this guide seriously and apply these 4 tips correctly, you'll never panic again after conceding the first goal. Alright, you can see that my opponent here is rated 3,109, but that doesn't tell the whole story. He's actually got some serious players in there. He's just using a few low-rated players to make his rating low and surprise people. Always check your opponent's formation to spot things like this. Here's my setup. Possession game with Messi as a false 9 with 1 striker and a winger for width. It's so effective. I will be making a video on it, and you don't want to miss it, so subscribe. Yeah, let's get into the match. My opponent has got Eto'o up front, so I already knew it was not going to be easy. Okay, so you can see here, it's only 6 minutes in, and I've already conceded. Yeah, from Eto'o, one of the best strikers in the game. If you faced him, then you know how dangerous he really is. Strong, fast, good in the air. His runs, he's just unstoppable. And just after kickoff, boom, another one. Who else? Eto'o again. And then look at this third goal. Wow, what a header. At that point, I was already down 3-0 after 22 minutes. Most people would probably rage quit here, but I stayed calm because I knew I had game changers waiting on my bench. Finally, I managed to pull one back with Messi. Honestly, it's not the prettiest goal, but I'll take it. That made it 3-1 heading into halftime. I didn't make any substitutions at halftime. I only adjusted my players a little bit, and I'll explain later. Just pay attention. So, the second half started well. I got another one back with Badigal just after the 60th minute. Beautiful finish, and this was the perfect time to make changes. Right after that goal, I went straight to my bench. The 60th minute is my sweet spot for substitutions. So, I brought on Mbappe for Neymar, Musiala for Scholes, and Pep Guardiola for Fat Frank. Sorry, Lampard. Then I brought in Van Nistelrooy for Badigal. Now, normally I like to use a striker and a winger to give me width, but in this case, I made Mbappe a CF because I wanted to trigger the link-up play with Pep Guardiola. I kept one substitution in reserve. Usually I bring on Hazard for Messi, but this time I held that one back just in case. All things being equal, I rarely touch my back line. Their stamina usually holds up fine. It's my front players that need the energy boost. And what's more, every single one of these players have the super sub skill, and the effect they have in matches cannot be overemphasized. Let's see how it all plays out. Pep wins the ball. Mbappe bursts down the wing and whips in a beautiful cross. Musiala misses it, but Van Nistelrooy's right there to clean it up for the equalizer. 74th minute. We're level at 3-3. But just a few minutes later, my opponent hits me again with Eto'o, 77th minute. And that's his 4th goal of the match. Still, I stay calm. At this point, I already know this game is mine. I equalize again through Van Nistelrooy, my man of the moment. Then I brought in Hazard to replace Messi because he was completely drained. And then my super subs were able to combine again. I hit him again, this time for the winner. The comeback is complete. From 3-0 down to a 5-4 victory. That's how you change games with your bench. Now let me show you exactly how to make this happen for yourself. These are 4 key tips that will help you get the most out of your substitutions. Number 1, build a balanced bench. So, how do you build a balanced bench? First of all, you need a plan. You need to have a substitution plan for different scenario. That's the foundation. Secondly, you have to make sure you have players who can fit directly into your setup. Players who can replace others like for like. For example, in my first game plan, I used 3 attackers. Neymar out wide to stretch the pitch, Batistuta as my main striker for those forward runs behind the defense, and Messi playing as the false 9, linking everything up between them. Now, in my second setup, what I usually do in the second half, I switch things around. I bring in Yamal for Batistuta and play him as a right winger to stretch the pitch on the other side. Then I bring in Van Nistelrooy for Neymar, move him to center forward, and let him make those diagonal runs from the opposite side. That's what keeps my team balanced. Every change keeps the same structure, the same rhythm. You can see that everyone on my bench has a clear purpose. Hazard can replace Messi and do the job perfectly as a super sub. His phenomenal passing makes him deadly in that role. Musiala can come in directly for Lampard. Pep Guardiola replaces Scholes, and Rodri can step in for Rijkaard when I need more defensive control. Lewandowski and Van Nistelrooy can swap in for Batistuta. Then, Yamal and Mbappe can both come in for Neymar, depending on what I need, width or pace. Defensively, I don't usually touch my back line, but I still keep solid options on the bench, just in case. Number 2, the timing of your substitutions. This can be the difference between winning and losing a match, between pulling off a comeback or completely falling apart. Now, if you notice in this game, I didn't make any changes after the first half, even though I was down 3-1. That was planned. That was deliberate. And here's why. There's a general rule of thumb for substitutions. At least for me, personally, I like to make my subs around the 60th minute mark, right around the 1 hour point. Why? Because most of my substitutions are attacking ones. Around the 60th minute, defenders start to tire. Their stamina drops, reactions slow down. And that's when you unleash your pace. When you bring in fast, explosive players at that moment, they can absolutely destroy tired defenders. But if you wait too late, maybe the 75th or 80th minute, your players won't have enough time to make an impact because division matches are short. On the flip side, if you sub too early, the stamina advantage disappears before it can really pay off. So, around the 60th minute mark, that's the sweet spot. Number 3, stick to your original game plan. It's easy to panic when things aren't going your way, especially when you concede an early goal. That's exactly where most players lose it. You see, your gameplay, your tactics, your setup, they exist for a reason. They got you results before, and if you trust the process, they'll get you results again. Of course, sometimes you adjust a little bit to match the flow of the game or the form of your players. That's fine, but your core identity, the way you play best, should never change just because you went 1 or 2 goals down. In my match, I was 3-0 down in just 20 minutes, but I didn't panic. I didn't scrap my system. I trusted my bench, I trusted my setup, and it paid off. So yeah, adapt when you have to, but don't abandon your foundation. Stick to your gameplay, believe in it, and let the match come back to you. Number 4, be flexible. Just because you have a set game plan doesn't mean you should be rigid. You need to be able to adapt depending on the match situation, how your opponent is playing, how the game is unfolding, or even unexpected circumstances. Flexibility is key to making your strategy truly effective. For example, in this match, I brought Mbappe on, not as a left wing forward, but as a center forward to trigger the link-up play with Guardiola. Another important reason to be flexible is player condition. In eFootball, this plays a massive role. A player in good condition will feel sharper, more active, and more responsive in-game, while a player in poor condition will feel slower and less reliable. You see how often I check the condition before making a change. So, always have a plan, but be ready to adapt, both tactically and based on player form, to keep your team performing at its best. And as I said earlier, don't neglect the super sub skill. It's a game changer. Some players naturally come with it, like Musiala or Araujo in my squad, but most don't. For those ones, you'll need to train them. Try to equip all your non-starters with super sub skill, and trust me, when you bring in 2 or 3 players with a super sub skill around the same time, it's like magic. It's almost an unfair advantage. And that right there is how you use your bench to change games. In my next video, I'm breaking down this exact formation, the one you just saw in action. The positional play, the link-up movements, everything. This setup was inspired by one of my subscribers who asked me to recreate the 2009 Pep Guardiola Barcelona system. The false 9, the fluid midfield rotations, and how to dominate possession in eFootball using it. So if you've ever wanted to control the game the way Prime Barcelona did, trust me, you don't want to miss that one. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss when that next video drops. I'll see you in the next one.